Welcome to today's Explainer. We're looking at the skyward divide today, the absolute most dramatic gap in modern air travel. We're going to break down some wild source material that takes us from the absolute rock bottom of budget flying straight up to the highest pinnacle of private luxury.
Okay, let's dive into this right away. 80 rupees versus 4 crore rupees. Just let that massive contrast sink in for a second. We aren't just talking about a simple upgrade from economy to business class here. No way. We're looking at two entirely different universes of human experience happening in the exact same sky, separated by an absolutely unbelievable financial chasm. One is literally the extreme of cost-cutting aviation, and the other, well, it's basically a floating palace for the ultra-wealthy.
Let's anchor ourselves to that first extreme, 80 rupees. Honestly, in today's world, it's kind of hard to imagine buying a decent cup of coffee for that amount, let alone a literal ticket to fly through the air. But as our source material reveals, snagging this absolute rock-bottom fare comes with a massive catch. You know, these fares are usually the result of aggressive flash sales or bare-bones promos where absolutely nothing is included but the seat itself. When you pay next to nothing, you're basically signing up for an experience that's going to test your physical and mental limits. On the exact opposite end of the spectrum is a number that is almost difficult to wrap your head around. 4 million rupees, or 4 crore. This astronomical leap transforms a mere mode of transportation into an elite sanctuary. At this price point, you are paying for an experience most people will never even see. We're talking about exclusive private jet charters or the absolute highest tier of commercial luxury suites. Spaces outfitted with rare woods, fine leather, and a dedicated staff attending to literally your every whim.
But let's bring our narrative back to reality for a minute, with extreme number 1, the ultimate budget nightmare.
Our source material uses one word perfectly to describe the wild reality of this 80 rupee flight, and that is crazy. The environment is incredibly crowded, the ambient noise from the engines and hundreds of tightly packed passengers is absolutely deafening, and your personal discomfort is pushed to the limit. You're essentially packed in there like sardines, right? Fighting for shared armrests in a cabin where personal space is practically non-existent.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what's being sacrificed to get that crazy low price. Every single comfort we normally associate with travel has been aggressively stripped away. There's no complimentary meal or beverage service. If you want water, you're paying a premium for it. There's no extra space to stretch out and absolutely zero legroom to speak of. Your knees are pressed firmly against the seat in front of you from takeoff to landing. You're trading every ounce of personal comfort for that extreme budget price tag, basically turning a simple flight into an absolute endurance test.
The climax of this budget struggle is perfectly captured by a super visceral quote from a passenger in our source material detailing this exact experience. Barely any space to breathe. It's not just a casual complaint about missing a mid-flight snack, you know? It's the physical, claustrophobic sensation of being completely boxed in, shoulder to shoulder with strangers with nowhere to move for the entire journey. It's the stark reality of aviation stripped down to its barest bones.
But what happens when you step away from the noise and the crowds? Let's move to and see how this builds into our next chapter. We're making a dramatic pivot here, crossing a vast financial divide and leaving that 80 rupee struggle behind to enter a starkly different world of travel. We're trading the claustrophobia for the clouds.
Welcome to our second extreme, inside extreme flight luxury.
Up here, the frantic energy of the budget flight completely vanishes, replaced by unparalleled high-end amenities. First, you aren't just getting a reclining seat. You're getting a real, full-sized bed outfitted with premium linens for absolute comfort. Second, you actually have access to a fully functioning shower. Imagine completely refreshing yourself with luxury toiletries while cruising at 40,000 feet. And third, most importantly, you have a private room. It offers complete isolation and peace, just this enclosed sanctuary that entirely shields you from the outside world.
So, the crucial point becomes incredibly clear when you put these two extremes side by side. The disparity is absurd. On one end, an 80 rupee flight gets you no legroom, no food, and no space. On the other, 4 crore buys you a plush bed, a hot shower, and a totally private room. It shows us that modern aviation isn't just about getting from point A to point B anymore, right? It's a sliding scale of human experience, dictated entirely by what you're willing or able to pay. The skies have quite literally been partitioned into completely different realities.
Which brings us to an extreme thought experiment. Which one would you choose? If you had to pay out of your own hard-earned pocket, does the unbelievable financial savings of the extreme budget ticket make the physical struggle and sheer discomfort worth it? Or is the astronomical cost of absolute luxury truly justifiable for the peace, privacy, and exclusivity it brings? Imagine having to make this extreme decision for your next flight. Let me know your choice in the comments below. Thanks for joining this explainer, and keep learning.